They were shutting down coal and steel. It was looking like a disaster. It was like right out of one of those sad Springsteen songs about shutting down the old mill. But then fracking and natural gas came right in the nick of time. 200,000 jobs in Pennsylvania alone. And by the way, lower natural gas prices for everyone in the state too, which also means lower electricity prices since their power plants use natural gas. I'm a bit jealous, aren't you? They're literally building new factories in Pennsylvania. I've seen it with my own eyes. And factories are actually coming home to America from foreign countries, in part because the energy is so cheap. But look at this news here. This is from an analyst in the Department of Energy. For the first time ever, the U.S. became a net total petroleum exporter on a 4-week average basis. In the week ending October 18th, the era of U.S. net petroleum exports has begun, or at least is highly likely to. And you see that chart there? What it means is that the U.S. didn't just have one special day where it exported more oil than it imported. That's now normal now. That's happened 4 weeks in a row now. The United States, far from importing half its oil as it did when I wrote Ethical Oil a few years back, it's now sending out oil into the world on a net basis. As in, yeah, sure, it still imports some oil, especially from Canada. I mean, wouldn't you? Because we have no pipelines to the sea, so we can't sell our oil to anyone else except for the Americans. So that's called a monopsony when there's only one customer. We have to sell our oil at a massive discount to world prices, sometimes as much as $35 a barrel, less than the world price. So we sell oil to the United States at below world prices, and they sell their oil to the world at world prices. They're smart. We're dumb. In fact, and this is so incredible, we actually buy their oil at world prices. More of it all the time. Look at this chart by the U.S. Department of Energy also. That's U.S. exports to Canada. To Canada. How is it possible that that's growing with the advent of our oil sands? The oil sands really kicked into high gear around 2004. And I'd say they were sort of at maximum velocity 10 years later, 2014. Can you put that chart up just for another second? But the pipelines were delayed and delayed and delayed and banned and blocked. And look at that, record oil imports from America to Canada. While U.S. fracked oil got stronger and stronger and stronger, and they took advantage of the market. Now, they shipped their oil up here by train primarily. That's what blew up in Lac Mégantic, Quebec. Look at those oil cars. There's a train full of fracked oil coming into Quebec from the United States. I got nothing against America. I got nothing against trains, and I got nothing against fracking. I love all three. I'm just telling you what it was that blew up. I've never heard of a pipeline blowing up, and certainly not in the middle of a city. Hey, but that's Quebec's choice. They prefer American oil to Alberta oil. They're the biggest importers of foreign oil in our country, by the way. Here's a report from Canada's energy regulator. Scroll down a bit. You can see we import most of our oil imports from America. That's the dark blue. But Saudi Arabia is next. That's the light blue. And then that orange is Azerbaijan, if you can believe it. Can you imagine that Canada, with the third largest reserves in the world, the oil sands, is importing any oil from Saudi Arabia and Azerbaijan? Can you find it on a map? Do you know where Azerbaijan is? It's that obscure country. It's landlocked to the world. It's on the Caspian Sea. But that's not part of the oceans. The Caspian Sea is actually a lake. It's a big, salty lake, but it's landlocked. How on earth is it easier and cheaper, and how does it even happen that oil gets from Azerbaijan to the ocean and then to Quebec from literally the opposite side of the world, as opposed to us just bringing it in from Alberta on a safe, high-tech pipe? Well, because Quebec politicians and Ottawa politicians hate Alberta oil. They don't hate oil, just Alberta oil. Scroll down a little bit more on that same chart. Scroll down to the importers of oil by province. Now, New Brunswick actually imports the most, but just to the refinery. They then disperse that oil to the rest of the country. That bar chart shows the total foreign oil imports by province. So you can see New Brunswick. That's where the Irving refinery is. They love their Saudi oil and their Azeri oil. That's what you call oil from Azerbaijan. Can't get enough of this stuff. The gray bars is the foreign stuff. The blue is U.S. oil. Quebec is the biggest importer of U.S. oil. See that? 138,000 barrels a day, the dark blue. That's up from 108,000 barrels a day the year earlier. They can't get enough of that Donald Trump oil. They love American oil. And they love their Saudi oil too. Isn't that funny? The province that brought in Bill 21, the province that's banning niqabs in the public service, they're buying Sharia oil from Saudis and Azeris, as well as their Trump oil. That's an excerpt from the Ezra Levant Show, which is a show I do every day. I do a monologue, interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. But you've got to subscribe to it, which you can do at premium.rebelnews.com.